Thank you. And just in order to make sure that all of our members get an opportunity to speak, and we're going to do several rounds of questions, I'll defer right now to Senator Rosen. And
I'm going to defer to Senator Gillibrand because we're here the whole time and everyone has a lot of hearings going on. So Senator Gillibrand, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Madam Vice Chairman. General Hartman, since the fiscal year 2017 NDAA, CyberCom has had the authority over the training of assigned joint forces, conducting specialized courses of instruction, monitoring and promotion of cyber operation forces, coordinating with the military departments regarding assignment, retention, training, education, and special and incentive pays for cyber operation forces. The command has been the joint force trainer for almost as long. Much of CyberCom 2.0 appears to be tinkering with this space rather than fundamental reimagining. Can you speak to why the command did not take these steps before and why you believe this is a dramatic transformation?
Senator, thanks for your questions. As you point out, in 2017, we were given certain authorities, but what we didn't have control of at the time was the funding, Senator. And so, as you're aware, in 2023, we were given enhanced budget control. There were a series of issues that actually caused us to not receive that control of that funding until 2024. And so while we had some authorities, we really had no enforcement mechanisms, and we have started to execute those enforcement mechanisms, and we've seen benefit from that. Senator, CyberCom 2.0 does not intend to totally reinvent how we train the force, but what it does intend to do is make sure that the services are held to the standard of 1,000 level training. Okay, the CyberCom J7 will continue to execute 2,000 level training. So basic training by the services, qualification through CyberCom, which we've made a lot of progress on the last 2 years. And then what CyberCom 2.0 is really going to bring is advanced and specialized training, moving at the pace of industry, that is really required, that will allow us to both compete and really plan to outpace China. That is the construct that we're laying out, Senator.
Thank you. Secretary Sutton, while the services largely say cyber is important, it is not a top priority for any of them. Agreeing to a notional plan is easy, but the services are notoriously protective of their control over the recruiting, retention, and talent management. How will your office hold services accountable and ensure they do not steamroll CyberCom on career and talent management? And I will just say that this committee, we have had hearing after hearing, year after year, and we have drilled down to how many personnel you're getting from each service and which services are slower than the other and what level of staff you can acquire. And frankly, it is never good enough. So I just really want to know how you intend to succeed.
Senator, I appreciate your question and understand the frustration. I think you're really highlighting what is fundamental about Cyber Command 2.0, which is involvement at the secretary's level to really coordinate and make sure that the services are all doing things consistently and that we rise everybody to the top bar. We see best practices in pockets across the services, but have historically lacked a coherent effort to bring all those together and rise all levels up. It is going to require hard discussions internal to the building. It's going to require prioritization, and we have a clear direction from the Secretary of War when he approved this plan about the importance of bringing up increasing the lethality of our cyber warriors. I look forward to having all those internal battles within the Pentagon because I think it is fundamental to what we owe our cyber warriors that come to work every day and do this mission is to be able to train them and retain them in ways that allow us to maintain the world's most competitive cyber force.
It was just reported that China approved the import of the H200 chips to ByteDance, Alibaba, and Tencent. These companies all work closely with the Chinese military, and just a few months ago, reports indicated a White House memo raised concerns that Alibaba provided support for PRC military operations against targets in the U.S. If these sales go through, what impact will this acquisition of H200s have on their ability to target the U.S. military and U.S. critical infrastructure?
Senator, I haven't studied that that question, and so I'll agree to get back to you with an answer.
Thank you. And just my last point, I'd like to hear from each of you. I still don't understand why you don't want a cyber academy. I just don't know why you don't want a service academy that will just train the personnel you need from top to bottom consistently and regularly. We tried to create small pipelines for you through the Cyber Academy for non-military personnel, but I still don't know why you don't want your own. And I get why you are going to use existing services and try to do better training, but the future of war is going to be cyber, and I don't know why we're taking so long to do this. And I think also in your testimony, you said that your goal for, what's the group? The ACTEC, the Advanced Cyber Training and Education Center, won't be fully operational capable to Q3 fiscal year 31. I mean, that's a really long time for any bricks and mortar, but can you just each talk about why you don't have this vision and why is it so difficult?
So really appreciate that question, because I think how we get the right training to our people and what courses we have available and what mechanisms we have is really important. Really want to highlight the importance in Cyber Command 2.0 of the ACTEC, the Advanced Cyber Training and Education Center. And the intent of it is actually not to be a brick and mortar institution, because what we see as having an internal developed training system is probably always going to be slow to need. As we look at the timelines it takes to get basic training updated, we're losing out to the best of breed that's happening in industry and academia. And so that Advanced Cyber Training and Education Center model is really intended to figure out what our requirements are, where we have skills and key knowledge gaps that we need training on, and then to be able to go out to industry and academia, find the best of breed, if it's available out there, bring that in, and then we can have standards that we're trained to. And so that's really the model that we're looking to move out on quickly. The timelines that we're talking about are to get it fully up and scaled across the entire force, across an entire curriculum. I'll let General Hartman talk about some of the early pilots that we're aiming to get some quick wins in right off the bat.
I just don't, again, the chairman can take control of this, but honestly, we've been saying that for a decade, and it just doesn't work. We can't compete. We don't pay enough. Our salaries are too low. And so the benefit that the service academies have is it's free college for 4 years or 2 years or whatever it's going to be. And so kids will choose to do that route because we can compete on that. We cannot compete. If you, let's say you set your standard every 6 months of the perfect person, they're not going to join you because they're making $400,000 or $600,000 where they are. You're not going to get them. So you guys can answer the question if you want, but you can also take the time back if you like, Mr. Chairman.
I will allow the question, and if you've got it, and if not, we can bring it back in and you can respond with a written response. But I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on it.
So I just one thing, and then I'll let General Hartman also provide his answer. So I am a firm believer in exactly what you mentioned. I am a scholarship for service recipient. My master's degree was funded through government funds with a service obligation, and over 20 years later, I'm still in government. I see it's a very powerful recruiting tool and something that we are continuing to look at to opportunities to continue to leverage.
Senator, I'm not opposed to a joint, cyber service training academy. I think there's great merit in that. What I don't think is the best answer right now is to divorce our cyber capability in the department from the services. And that is based on everything that we're doing from an operational standpoint. And, if I've got to build a cyber plan against an adversary's air defense network, the Air Force as a service brings tremendous capability to me that I don't believe we need to separate. And then the second piece is the Advanced Cyber Training Academy. What we are trying to do is really marry the training to the operational elements of the command. And so we learn things in an ops room, both offensive and defensively, that we immediately turn into a training requirement that we train across the force. And so each disparate element isn't learning every time they get on keyboard in order to execute operations. We just think that's fundamentally important. but there is a huge institutional training requirement, and, I support your idea.
Thank you, Senator Gillibrand, for the excellent questions. Appreciate that.